Hello, awesome developers. Today we are going to complete our social media application by using full stack approach. Previously, we have made the design and REST API for this attractive platform. Today we are going to integrate both server and client side. So you will learn how to perform routing on client side using React Router version 6. How to do global state management using React Redux Store, and for bonus, how to persist the store state even after you refresh the page. How to authenticate with JWT authentication tokens. How to use Redux Middleware in our actions for asynchronous performance. And still there is many more to learn in this project. This course is going to be the best MERN stack course over the YouTube. Let's get started. So in the previous part, we have made this server folder and initialized our REST API completely. And the first part was this design part. So I am opening my VS Code here in the parent directory. And first of all, I will change the name of our starter pack as client. So now we can easily see that this is our server side belongs to REST API and this is our front end part. Okay. Now in the previous part, I just found that we have messed up our login and sign up page. So I am going to initialize my client side. So cd client and here write yarn start. Also, I am running my server side by side. So making another terminal and cd server and here write npm start. So our server is running and here our client side is also running successfully. Now let's just close the terminal and inside the client side I am going to the pages and then inside the auth.jsx. So here I am first of all going to make some changes. Instead of making this login component, I am just deleting this and I am going to my sign up this and just copy the entire div, copy this and paste this just below the web name. So here it is and I should make a comment so we can easily find out. Here this will be the right side and this is going to be the left side with the logo, just like this. Okay. Now I can easily just remove this login function. I am just going to delete this. So let's just delete this like this. Okay. As you remember, we have to render both the login and the sign up page. So for this reason, here I am going to make a use state const is sign up and their set is sign up and this is going to be the use state. So inside the use state at the start it will be false. Okay, so this means if is sign up is false, then we are rendering our login page. So here I am going to declare a condition. I will say is sign up is true, then render sign up text like this, and if it is false then render login like this. Okay, so now let's save this and have a look. Okay, so I should also change inside the app.js. Here inside the app.js, instead of this I should delete this, of course. Okay, so just delete this and make this out of comment. Let's save and here see we have the login text because our condition is according to is sign up variable. The first name and last name fields are required when we have to render the sign up form. So in the login form it is not required, so I will say is sign up true. So just make to ampersand and I am just copying this div completely, Control X and then here Control V, and of course I have to make this div inside the condition. Let's format the code. Okay, now let's save and see. So we have no first name and last name inside our login form. Similarly, we don't want this confirm password field. So I will go to the confirm password field and again just make a condition is sign up true, then ampersand, and this will lie inside the condition. Let's save this and see. Here we don't have our confirm password field. Now our last task is to change the text of this sign up button because there should be now login. So again here there will be a condition which is saying is sign up, then there will be the text of sign up, and if it is not, then there will be a text of login. Let's save and see. So now there is login button, it's working fine, but we forget to change this text. So in the login form it should say about the sign up. So I am searching for the sign up text. Okay, here I am making again a condition. Everything will lie inside the condition is sign up, and if it is true, then I am rendering this text for the login, and if it is not, don't have an account sign up. So just like this, let's save and see. So it's saying don't have an account sign up. So let's say I change my variable of is sign up to the true. So true, and now I have this sign up form. Okay, this change of form should be done on clicking this text. So here I will say on click. On click there should be an function executed, and inside the function I will say set is sign up. First of all, it will take the previous value as the parameter and change it into the negation of previous value. So now let's try. I am clicking this and now it is login form and now it is sign up form. Moreover, for the styling here I will write the style and the cursor will be like the pointer like this. So it is giving an error, I think. Okay, it is giving error because I have already declared the styling before. So just copy this here and paste it by placing a comma. Let's save and just delete this. Now see the results if I click this, and then so yeah, this is looking really nice. It's time to handle the inputs inside our form. Let's go to the VS Code and I should format the code. Okay, first we should check that either we have the names of our input properly or not. So first name, last name, this is correct, and similarly username and the password, the confirm pass. So I think all the inputs are having the correct name. So to handle our inputs, I will also handle this according to use state. So here I am making form data, or you can simply just say the data and then say the set data. Okay, so at the start this data is going to be a null object. Basically, instead of null object, what I will do, I will give it some key values, and these key values will be the names of our inputs as I have mentioned here. So this is a kind of initial state for our use state. Okay, here I will say it will have a first name and the value of first name will be nothing, then the last name with nothing, and the password, all the possible inputs I am writing here, and the confirm pass, again it will have nothing. Okay, I think I have forgot one input which is the username. So username just like this. Now I have to write a function to handle the change in our inputs and put the values of our inputs inside this object. Here I will write const handle change, and it will be a function, and first of all it will take an event as a parameter, as we know that all of our form lies inside this form. Okay, and this form should be submitted on clicking our last button here because this has the type submit. Okay, but this is not our concern right now. Our concern right now is with the input fields, that how to reflect the change in our inputs to our use state hook here. So therefore I am writing a function handle change which is taking the event as a parameter, and I'll say set data. First of all, I will destructure my previous data like this, and then inside square brackets write e dot target dot name, and the value will be e dot target dot value, like this. Okay, so the reason why I am setting data like this is because if I don't use this convention, then we have to make handle change for every input separately. But by doing the e.target.name, now we can use a single function for all of our inputs. Okay, so now in each input write on change. So on change there will be executed handle change. Let's copy this, paste it here, and similarly now below the password and also below the confirm password. Okay, now let's check if we are having the correct value inside our use state hook. So there I am using extension named as React Developer Tool. You can easily find it on the Google Store. So by the way, I will remove all these warnings by giving a key prop to our iterating components. But now let's ignore this, and here inside the component, which is the extension and auth, here I have a state, and now let's write something in our input. Let's say Zain and rk zain@gmail.com, zain. Let's have a look, and here we have our password, confirm password, first name. Okay, so why this first name is not working correctly? Because here we have forget to write the r. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, there should be an r. Now let's save and try again. So here I'm refreshing my page. Let's write Zen. Okay, rk zain@gmail.com, Zen. Let's have a look, and here we have all the fields filled properly. Now to hide this password field, there is a very simple trick to make this hide. Here, instead of writing text, write the type as password, and similarly here write that text as password. Let's save this, and now you can see they are just the dots. We are unable to see them, which is a normal behavior of password fields. So our next task is when we hit the sign up button here, then our program should check whether our password and set password fields are same or not. And if they are not same, then we should see an error below the confirm password field. So let's go to the VS Code, and here below our use state, I am again making another use state with the name confirm. Okay, confirm pass, and with the set confirm pass, and by default it will have a use state true, because by default we don't want to see any kind of error. Okay, let's save this, and here just below this div I am going to make an other span, and inside this span it will say confirm password is not same, mean there is an error. Okay, so now I have to render it upon checking the condition of our use state hook. So there can be two types of method. The first method is that I can place this kind of condition here also, and the second method if I change its styling. Okay, so here I am making its display according to our confirm password state, that if it is true then there will be nothing, and if it is false then the display will be like the block. So as you can see, now we are seeing nothing, and if I just make it false like this, so here our text confirm password is not same. Give it some kind of styling. Here inside its style I will give it a color of red, means it is a warning, and a font size of 12 pixels which will be enough. Align self, and I think so flex end because it was in the center, and also there should be a margin from the right. So I am giving a margin of 5 pixels so it will be aligned properly. Let's format the code and let's save this. Here we have our confirm password not same, and it's looking very pretty now. But still we have not made the functionality of checking it on hitting the sign up button. As we know that the button has type submit, and if it has type submit, then form should have a prop which is on submit. So on submit I will call a function handle submit, which will submit our form towards the backend server. But before it we have to check our password validity. So const handle submit function, and inside this function first of all I am making an event as prop and e dot prevent default, so our page will not redirect it to another page which is a default behavior, and I have to prevent this. After this I will check if the is sign up. Okay, if the is sign up form is rendering, then check the password from our data is same to the confirm password state from our data. So this all should be in a check. Therefore I am giving it an if condition, then do nothing, and if it is false means the password and the confirmed password state is not same, then the set confirm pass as the false. Okay, so and by default it should be true. So let's save and see. Okay, there is an error. Okay, because it is expecting a type of functionality here. So I'm just removing this whole thing, and here I will say if it is not same like this, then execute set confirm pass as the false. Now let's save this, and here let's write anything and sign up. So this is our confirm password is not same. Okay, let's log in. So there is an error while we are switching our mode from login to sign up and sign up to login. The text fields are not clearing by themselves, and this confirm password state is also here, and this is not a default behavior. Therefore I am making another function here, and the function is reset form. Okay, so an arrow function, and I love arrow function. I don't know why, but I just love the syntax of arrow function. Okay, when this function is executed, first of all it will set our set confirm password state as true, and our data will be just like the initial state. So our initial state was this one. So just copy this and paste it here. So let's save, and we also have to call this function while switching. So I am going to, so here on this condition of on click method, I am saying after doing this work I should also have to do another thing. So just make it a proper function, because otherwise we'll give an error. And here say reset form. Now let's save and see there is an error. If I log in, then everything is clear. Okay, but still I have these values in my inputs. So what can I do? For each input, here I will say the value of each input will be equal to data dot the name of input. So password, and okay, that was confirm pass. So confirm and then the pass. Now I have set all the value as our use state values. So let's save this, and now I am refreshing the page. Here I have these things, and let's say password is not correct. I am trying to make the password as confirm password not same. Go to the login, and fields are clear, and fields are clear. So that is the behavior that we are expecting. It's time to connect our sign up and log into our backend, and for this we have to make a complete setup of our Redux store. And don't be panic, I am going to guide you step by step of Redux store setup. Let's get started. So basically in Redux state management, we have all our states, basically the global states in a store. These states are stored by the reducers. Means the state of type 1 will be stored in reducer 1, the type 2 will be in reducer 2, and so goes on. The next question is how these reducers get the state. These reducers seek for a specific action to change or to make a new global state. And following this pipeline, the action can receive a state from two sides, either from a React component or from an API. So overall, let's revise. The API is sending a new state towards the action, and action is sending this request to the reducer. If we talk about our React component, so our React component receives the global states from the store. And now if any component wants to manipulate any type of global state, then it will call a specific type of action. So this is the total setup of Redux store. This is my advice for you guys. If you are feeling yourself too much confused, then don't be panic. Just take a screenshot of this image and take it side by side. During the tutorial, if any step you find yourself lost, then just visit this picture and clear your thoughts. Let's move on. So now to set up the Redux store in my application, I have to install some packages. So these packages are, first of all, I am going into the client folder and here install npmi redux thunk and react redux, like this. I have already installed this, therefore I am not pressing the enter button, but you can simply install them by writing npmi redux thunk react redux and so on. So after installing them, here I have to import a dispatch hook which is from the React Redux. So I am saying dispatch use dispatch, like this. I think I have to import it manually. Import use dispatch from React Redux. Okay. So here I have imported the hook and there is the instance of our hook. Now how I am going to use this? While submitting the form, now I can change these conditions as I predicted. Here I will say if data.password is equal to data.confirm pass. Okay, then dispatch our action as I have declared you in the visual of our React Redux. I mean in the image of our React Redux, that our component is interacting with the actions. So here I am going to interact with the action of our React Redux. I know we have not set up any type of actions and reducers and store, but let's follow me and see how I am going to make all of them step by step. So here I am going to dispatch an action of sign up that we are going to make, and I am sending the data of my form as a parameter. Now if the password and confirm password is not same, then I will say set the confirm password as false. So let's format the code, and here you can see, of course there is an error because we have no action of sign up. But before making the sign up action, let's first clear this logic. And else there is no sign up means our form is a login form. Then dispatch an action, and inside this action I am calling the login action, and here I am also sending the data. This is as simple as that. Now let's make our actions. So I am closing all the directory inside the client, inside the src, make a folder with the name actions. Inside the action, here I am making another file auth action.js. Inside the auth action, I will say export const login. Let's first make the functionality of login, and the form data is as a parameter that I have received from our auth.jsx component, and this will be an async call to our Redux thunk. So therefore Here I am writing dispatch, and then this is again a fat arrow function. I know this convention is little bit crazy, but you have to remember this every time making actions. So here we have to interact with our API, which will call an endpoint to our server for the login. So basically here if I write const and I will receive data from my endpoint, and I will say await auth API that we have not made yet, and inside API call the login function and pass is the form data. So now we have no API to make this request. Let's make an API folder inside the SRC, and I'm just saying it as API, and inside the API I am making a file auth request.js. To work with the request we have to install a package. So just here write npm I Axios. This package is basically used to make requests to our server side. Before using the Axios, we have to make some changes in our package.json. Otherwise, our application will show errors. So I will go to my package.json, and here we have to declare a proxy for our server side. So I am saying the proxy means proxy is a type of URL that is accepted by our application to interact, because if we allow all the URLs to interact with our application, then there will be a lot of vulnerabilities. So to avoid this problem, here we have to declare a proxy inside the package.json, and our proxy is http and localhost 5000, just as this. So it's very simple to add a proxy. Let's save the package.json. Now inside my auth request, here I am importing a package Axios from Axios, like this. Now I have to make a file for our API, and inside API I will say axios.create with the base URL of our proxy, which is the. So here I have given a base URL for our API, means every time we make a request, then it will call our 5000 port number. Okay, now let's make a function for login. So here I will say export const login is equal to form data which we will receive from our action, and API will make a post request as we have made in our controller, and our path was the authentication part with a login endpoint, and here the data is as the request.body data. Till now our API request is completed for the login. Now I have to import this login inside my action. Let's save this, and inside the actions, now inside the authentication action I am importing these auth request as an API. So I will say import all as auth API from, I should go outside and then inside the API and then auth request. Just simple as that. Okay, so now we have this function. As we are interacting with the database, so here we should write a try catch block. So this is a try catch block, and I am making this request inside the try block, and of course as we have for the error will be console log error. But still there is something missing, that till now we have not interacted with our global state management, means the state that are in our store. As we know that to store the states in our store, we have to interact with the reducers. So to interact with the reducer, before calling my API endpoint, here I will say dispatch a reducer with the type of authentication start. This means we are telling our reducer that authentication has been started. And after this, here I will tell my reducer that the authentication has been completed. So authentication complete, or you can simply say as, which is a more general convention, authentication success, like this. And with the authentication success, I will also pass the data of successfully authenticated. And in case of any error, here I will again call my authentication reducer, and I will say as type authentication and fail. So this is a very simple scenario of our action, that first of all we are telling our reducer that authentication has been started. After receiving data from server side, I am telling my reducer that authentication has been successful, and then I am telling if there is an error, then authentication has been failed. It's time to make a reducer to handle these dispatch functionalities. But before making those reducers, first of all, let's fix our authentication.js. As there is an error, so I am removing these 2 to 3 words and calling again sign up. So it should auto import, and there is an error that it is not auto importing sign up because we have not made sign up in our authentication actions. Okay, so this is natural, so login should work fine. So if I again write login, so here it is saying that login is available in authentication request and authentication actions, and we have to call it from authentication actions. So let's save this. Of course there will be an error for the sign up, so let's make an API request for the sign up function. So here I am just copying this and just pasting this, and here write sign up like this, and all the data should be same. And there I am just writing register because that was our endpoint. By the way, you can visit your endpoints again by going to Thunder client, and here we have our all the request. Inside the auth request, this is our register request. So as you can see that this is auth register. So similarly here I have pasted the URL. Now let's make an action for the sign up. So I am just copying our login and here paste it like this. And now here instead of login I will say sign up like this, because here I am exporting all of my functions in the auth API as the star, so they all are available. Now here instead of login I will write as sign up. So this is also complete. Let's save it, and here I am just auto importing it by writing sign up for the authentication actions. So now it's time to make our reducers that will be connected, as here we are interacting with our reducers by dispatching a specific type of actions, and we don't have any reducers yet. So inside the src I am making another folder with the name reducers. Inside the reducers I am making a file with the auth reducer.js. In the auth reducer.js, we will contain every data related to a user information. So here I will say auth reducer, and it will be a function that will carry a state. And inside the state, first of all, we have some authentication data, and by default it will be null, means at the start of application. The loading of the data will be false at the start, and error will be also false, just like this. So now with the state there will be also an action. This action basically will be telling us that which type of reducer we have called from the actions, and inside the reducers which type of action is called. So here I am making it an arrow function as we always do in our JavaScript. So just format the code. Okay, so here it is an error of the auth data because here I have put an equal sign. So now let's format the code again. Okay, now you can see it betterly. Now inside the function, first of all I will make a switch statement, and this switch statement will be depend on action.type. Okay, so inside the switch, first of all I will make a case for authentication start. So here inside authentication start I am just copying this string authentication start and pasting it here like this. So when authentication start action will start, then it will return our previous state. So I am just spreading it, making loading as true and error as false. And we should also make a default case, otherwise it will continue to give this yellow line. So by default it will return our state as it is inside our parameters, this one. Okay, so our second case was authentication successful. So I am again going to just copy this from here, authentication success, just copy this and paste it here, and it will return the previous state, and our auth data will be changed on success. Our auth data will be the new data that is carried in our action. So inside the action, it is carried inside the data key, because here inside the auth action we can see that we are sending our authenticated data as the data key member. So here I am receiving it from my action as action.data. Now loading will be false because we have successfully retrieved the data, and error will be also false. Let's format it again, and it's time to make our last state of reducer, which is the authentication fail. So to make this last state, here I will say case authentication fail inside the actions. I am just copying this. Copy this and paste it here like this, and in this case I will simply return my previous state by spreading it, and the loading will be false because we have reached some endpoint, and error will be true because at this state we will only reach when there is an error from our server side, so error will be true. Let's save this. So now we have successfully made our authentication reducer. But there is one thing that we should do while making our authentication success, that as we are saving our data inside our authentication data key of our authentication reducer state, I will also save our authenticated data in my local storage. So for storing the data in local storage, I will say local storage dot set item, and item will be set with the key value of profile, and then json dot stringify our action dot data, as this is the data that is sent by our authentication action after a successful endpoint. We can also apply here a chain operator because we are not always sure that we have received our data. So therefore, if the data is available, then it will be stored in our local storage. So I should make a text small so it will be visible. Yeah. Okay. So it is just enough. Now let's format the code again. Here you can see I am storing the data in my local storage. But the reducers are not just enough the files of different type, means the authentication reducer, post reducer. There is a common file of all the reducers from which the reducers are accessible inside the actions. So let's make it. Inside the reducers, I should again follow the directory. Here inside the reducers, we have to make an index.js. Okay, and this index.js is specified for all the reducers in our application. Here I am importing a package called combine reducers from Redux. Okay, this will combine all the reducers we have made in our project. Now I have to import my auth reducer. So I am auth reducer from I think so, yes, like that. I just think that we are not exporting our authentication reducer from auth reducer.js. Export default auth reducer. This is our basically the main function of authentication reducer, and let's save this. And now inside the index.js, after this I am making a common file for all the reducers and telling it as reducers simply, and then combine reducers, and inside combine reducer let's include our authentication reducer. Now let's save this. Okay, it's time to make a store. Basically inside the store we will hold all our states. So here I am just closing src and I am making a new folder. Inside the store I am going to make a file which is the redux store.js. So inside Redux store.js, I am just simply pasting some code. Okay. So what is the purpose of this code and why I am not explaining this code line by line to you? Because every time you are going to make a Redux store in your application, the code is going to be the same for every project. You may see many other type of methods to make Redux store on YouTube and in many more blogs, but why I am using this such a long method? Because the bonus part of this is that with making the store available for our reducer, it is also making our reducer persisted. Mean whenever you refresh the page, your state will not be lost. They will be in your local storage. So I am going to give you an overview of this code. That first of all, here I am importing some important packages from the Redux to make a store, and inside these packages there is an apply middleware package also, because we have to apply our Redux thunk middleware. Okay, so here I have imported my Redux thunk middleware for the asynchronous performance, and here all our reducers. Let's I double check that it is in the same directory reducers and inside the reducer there is index.js. So yeah, this is all the way correct. Okay. After this, here we have function to save our states inside the local storage. So it is just serializing all of our data available in the store as we are passing it in a parameter and giving it to our local storage. And in the load from local storage, as it is obvious from the name, we are retrieving our data from the local storage. So now there is our enhancer, that is a method to make the store available for our Redux dev tools. And inside this line of code, I am making my store, as this is a very common function to make a Redux store. Here I have given my all the reducers where the states lie, and there is a persistent state of our local storage. And here I have applied my thunk middleware. Okay. Now our store is subscribing to our local storage, means every time there is a change in our store states, then the change will be reflected in our local storage. And finally, I am exporting my store. Now we have to make this store available for our application inside the project. So to make this available, I am opening my index.js of client side. Okay, there are two methods to open these long directories by going manually, and there is another method to search for the same file index.js. Okay, so let's close this and just enter Ctrl P and write index.js. So here you can see I have found three index.js files, one from the server side, other from reducers, and this is from our client side, which is required file. So I am opening this. Now just remove this comma and here write a provider, and this is a method of our React Redux, and here it is providing a store which is coming from our Redux store file. So just close this component, and here I have to wrap all of my app inside this. Okay, let's format it. Now let's save and see if our app is crashed or working fine. So let's try to make a request for the server for register a new user. Let's say John, and here the username is john@gmail.com, password simply John, and then the password John. Let's sign up and see our network tab. So okay, there is an error already, the Axios error. Let's see in the network, and I'm going to send the request again, sign up, and here is the our request, why it is failed. So it is saying strict origin when cross origin. So the solution of this problem, I am going to index.js of my server side. Here I am going to install a package. So I am opening a new terminal and going to server side. Here write npm I course. Course basically allow us to send requests through the cross origins. Means we are sending requests from the port 3000 to the port 5000. Let's wait till it installs. So here it is installed now. Here just below the .env, I am importing the course from the course. So just like this. And now I am configuring my app to use this course. So I will say app.use the course policies. So let's save this and our server should restart. To restart my server, here I am just writing rs, it will restart my server. So let's just wait. Okay, so now it is listening. Let's try to send our request again, and I will clear all of my network request. Now let's send it again, sign up, and here you can see our request has been successfully delivered to our server, and the response is can be seen in the final request inside the preview. Here you can see a new user has been returned from the server. And here you can see the password is now manipulated by our bcrypt library that we have made in our REST API part. Now let's try our login functionality. So I am going to for the login, as I have made a John. So let's make a John and password was simply the John. Let's log in, and the request is again successful here. So inside the preview here you can see we have returned successfully a John user from our database. So both our functionalities are running successfully. Now it's time to see some changes on our UI. So here I want when my request is pending, then there should be a text saying loading instead of this login button, and same for the sign up button. So I will go to the authentication.jsx, and here I will retrieve the loading state from the Redux store. So how I am going to retrieve the, first of all, I am make a dispatch. Okay, so dispatch will be equal to use dispatch hook from our React Redux. Now I will say const loading, which is the part of our state, and I will say use selector, which is also a hook of our React Redux to fetch the global state. And here I will say from all state just fetch the state dot auth reducer. So auth reducer as was our function, and from this function just fetch the loading variable. So let's save this, and here I am again saying two errors because there are two times use dispatch. I have already made it, so let's just delete it. Okay, now before using this in our UI, I should just console log my loading variable. So here I am saying loading. Let's see in the UI what will be changed. During the login I will say john@gmail.com with the password John. Now log in and see our console. So here it is false, false, and true, means it is working fine. Okay, so from where we are getting this loading, as we have made in our Redux store, and for more specific in our authentication reducer. So I should just open the authentication reducer. So here's our authentication. Here you can see inside our auth reducer function we have our loading key. So I am just fetching it by the use selector hook. And you should also know that on our authentication success we are also storing the retrieved data in our local storage. So let's double check our local storage. I will go to the application, and inside the local storage here you can see first I have a profile because I have set up it here, the profile key, and I also have a store. Okay, so let's forget about store for now, just focus on the profile that we have made manually in our reducer. And in our reducer we have successfully stored the data of our user that has been retrieved, and same process will be repeated for the sign up function. Now to see the changes in the UI, I will go to the authentication.jsx here, and for our login and sign up button I have here. So I'll just say the condition will depend upon loading, and if the loading is true then just return the value of loading string like this, and if it is not then check the second condition. So if I watch it on my login page here, if I log in, then you can say it is saying login, and then it becomes again the login button. And I also want when there is something loading and pending, then button should not be clickable. So to make it clickable, I am making a class in my app.css. So here inside app.css I have my button hover. So now I am making a button disabled. So on button disabled I will simply make the background as silver, and my pointer events will be null, because by saying the pointer events null the area becomes unclickable. So if I save this, and now I have to apply this class on my button here. For the button I'll say disabled property will depend upon loading. So if loading is true then disabled is true, otherwise button will be clickable. Now let's test it. Here if I log in, so now you can see how beautiful it goes into the loading and then it comes back, and similarly there will be for the sign up. So let's try it, and I think so I already have a user with the name Zan, but you can see that here it is signing up successfully. Now it's time to implement our JSON web tokens on our server side, and it is a very important and critical topic to understand. So I am opening my VS Code and just simply go to our auth controller in the server. Okay, so now while registering a user, I was just receiving the username, password, and some also field from the request.body. So now what I am going to do, I am just deleting this line of code. Okay, and why I have just deleted this, because I can simply use the request.body, because now I assumes you have a clear idea understanding by watching the previous part of our social media application that how the REST API works. So now we can take some kind of shortcuts. So inside the body I just simply write request.body, and to remove this error we should remove the curly braces from both sides. Okay, now you will think how we can implement the hashed password. So to implement the hash password, I will say request.body.password will be now equal to hashed password, as simple as that. After this, I will fetch the username from the body. So username will be equal to request.body, and I just noticed that we are missing a functionality, that we are not checking if the username is already registered on the same username or not. So to make this possible, before saving the new user, I will say const old user will be equal to await user model dot find by id, or you can just simply say find one, and find one where username is equal to that one we have exported from our request dot body. After this, I will make a condition that if old user is true, means if old user exists, then return from our controller with the response of status 400, like this. And inside the body, let's the username is already registered, so the new user cannot be registered on our platform. Let's save this, and let's hope there should not be any kind of error. Okay, there is an error that okay, inside the JSON I should make an object by a key value pair. So now the error should be removed. Our server is starting again, and now it is successfully started on the port 5000. Let's try to register the John user again. So here ZAINKEEPSCODE, and let's say john@gmail.com, sign, and before signing up, let's clear our network tab, and here I am sending request, and inside network tab, okay, it is pending now, and here we have the error, and inside the error there should be a preview. So there I am not noticing any type of response. Let's see why. Okay, inside the server there is an error that we are using password and we have no kind of password in our controller. So yeah, here we cannot simply use password now. We should write request.body.password. Let's save it again, and let's see, our server should run properly. Okay, now it is running properly, and I'm going to send the request again. Before I should clear the network tab, let's sign up. Okay, so here it is saying username is already registered, means our endpoint is working very fine. It's time to implement our JWT, means JSON Web Token Authentication. So for to implement JSON Web Token Authentication, I am installing a package inside my server directory here. So I will install npm i JSON Web Token. So it will take some time. Let's wait. Okay, here it is installed now. Now I should import the JWT from the JSON Web Token. Import JWT from JSON Web Token, and it's time to make a token. After saving a new user, here I am making a token, and for the token I'll say jwt.sign, and for the signature it will use the username of the newly registered user. So it will be available in the user.username, and from where we can get this new user. So I should have a response by saving, and let's say it is the user. So after saving the new user, it will also return us that user, and inside the token I am using that user for the signature. Okay, beside the username I should also use the id of that specific user. And now it's time to pass some more parameter for our token. The second parameter is the secret key of our signature. As you can see here, it is saying secret or private key, and for now I'm just using secret key as MERN. Okay, and the third parameter is the time limit of our token. I am saying expires in, and let's say 1 hour, means after 1 hour our token will be expired. The same user cannot use the same session after 1 hour. He or she should have to log in again. Okay, we cannot simply just use this string as openly in our controller. We should store it in our .env file. So inside the server, inside .env, and I should go to the next line, and here I will say JWT and key will be equal to MERN, and just copy the name from here. Let's save this, and now here we can see process dot. Let's save this, and we know after making changes in our .env we have to restart the server. So there is a server just write rs and it will restart our index. Okay, so I should send the response as something like this: the new user and the token. Okay, so now the user and the token will be stored in our local storage and in our Redux store. Let's try to do this. So here I am going to make a new email. Let's say eric@gmail.com and Eric. Okay, and then Eric. Let's sign up here. Okay, so there should be a response. Okay, so it is returned correctly, and in the response we have also a token that is expected. And now inside the application for the profile we have a token and a user data, and same for our authentication store. Inside the authentication reducer, authentication data has two values. This means we have made a successful deployment of our token generation at the server side. Let's move on for the login side. So for the login, here it was controller to handle all the login requests, and let's make this situation more simple for you guys. Okay, in simple terms I am saying if there is no validity, means the decryption of our password as stored in the database with the password that has been received from the user is not valid, then simply send a response of status 400, and inside the JSON let's simply say wrong password. And if it is not, then we have to do a lot of work, because in this case we have to implement all our JWT authentication. So instead of writing it again, I am just copying this token from here, copy this, and I am pasting it here. Okay, because I also have user, and I should, yeah, there is the user. Because I also have user here, so our authentication token can take the username and the user ID. Now in the response I will send response.status with the 200 code, means the okay, and in the JSON I am sending the user and my token. Now let's test this, and first of all let's see our server status. Is it running fine? So it is running fine here. Let's go to our UI inside the login, and again test for the John, and the password was John. Let's log in, and inside the network tab now we have the profile with a new token, and I am confirming the new token because now we have a username john@gmail.com. For more confirmation, let's go to the network tab inside the login, and this request was accepted. Okay, so here the user and with the new token, and that was our payload with only username and the password. So now our JWT token generation has been deployed and our controller has been changed. Our next task is to implement routing on our client side, because we want whenever user successfully logged in or sign up, he or she should go to the home page of our social media application. So to do this, here I am going to the index file of my client side here. Now first of all let's install the packages for the routing. So here I am going to the client side. Okay, and before going to client side I should go outside and then client, like this. Now here write yarn add react router DOM and press the enter button. So here my React router DOM package has been installed successfully. So now let's go into the index.js of our client side, and here below the provider I am routing browser router, and I have to import this from the React router DOM. So let's say browser router from React router DOM. Okay, with the browser router I have to import the routes, I think, and the route. So we are going to practically make this social media application according to the React Router version 6, and inside the version 6 we are using these routes and route mechanism of routing because switches are no more available in React Router latest version. So let's format the code and now simply remove this app component and make it inside the route. So routes now contain a route like this, and the path will be the most parent path, and we are declaring this as a star. And on the most parent, first of all, let's simply render the app component. Okay, I have to also close this route, so let's save this. Now go to the app.js. Our all the routing mechanism or the logic is basically held in the app.js. So now simply remove this authentication element because now we are not rendering just by writing manually. We have to render them according to the routes. First of all, import all the important classes, routes, route, and I think the last class should be the navigate because we have to navigate from one page to another from the React Router DOM. Now let's save this and here start to make the logic. First of all, there will be a parent class which will contain all the routes, and our first route is going to be the path with just a slash, and when someone hits only a slash on our social media application, then element will be rendered according to the availability of user in our React Redux store. So I am going to fetch the user from the use selector, and from the state let's go to the state dot auth reducer dot auth data. So now I am saying if the user is available means the authentication data is available, and there is a problem. I have written it inside return. It should be above the return. Okay, so if it is available, then navigate to the home page. So I will say navigate to the home directory. Okay, and if it is not available, then navigate to the authentication side. So navigate authentication route can be simply declared like this. Now I have to close the parent route component. Okay, after this the second route is going to be the path element with simply home if someone wants to go to the home page. Then again we have to check the availability of the user. If user is available, then navigate, or instead of navigating we just simply return the element home, which is the home page inside our client side directory. And if it is not, then navigate towards the authentication side. So navigate to remove the previous path and append the authentication. Let's close navigate and close this route. The last route is going for the authentication page. Okay, so if someone is trying to go authentication, on authentication I am again going to check the availability of user, and if user is available, then navigate towards the home route. So navigate towards the home, and if it is not available, then simply return the auth element like this. So I should close the parent route. Let's save, and I have made a general formatting. So now you can see our complete logic. Let's try this. So here now we are on the home page. It has detected the logic that user is available in the application memory tab, but I want to give a practical view of login system. So I'll go to the application side and I'm deleting all the local storing key values, and let's refresh the page, and now we're on authentication side. Let's log in with the John. Okay, so John, and the password will be simply John like this. Now login, and here we are on the home page. You can also try this for the sign up, but I am not going to again check it for the sign up because the tutorial is already very long. It's time to implement our share component logic, because I want when a user is login and he or she tries to share some kind of photo like this and press the share button, then the photo will be added to its timeline, and then we further move on. So I am going to the VS Code and here open the share. Okay, so the post share.jsx. Here, first of all, just go to the image section where we are setting our image inside the state hook. So where this image, okay, there is the image that we are setting in our use state hook image. So I am just removing this URL dot create object from there, and let's remove the braces, and I am making this URL object image directly on the image of the preview. So here I will simply say the URL, and then as we know that there is no image, so yes, basically I should remove this object type scenario, okay, because I found a little handy that set image directly to the image, and here I am converting this image into the use state for create object URL, so it will be visible. Let's check this by selecting a photo, and here it is. Okay, so after this we should make a functionality for uploading a new post. Okay, so this is our button of share. On click, let's handle the submit. Okay, so let's make a handle submit. Here let's make const handle submit, and the arrowhead function means a fat arrow function, and I am receiving event parameter here and prevent default because I do not want to redirect to another page on clicking this button. And after this I am going to make a type of post that will be acceptable on the server side. So if I go to the post model, okay, so that was all post model. The server, here you can see we have a user ID, a description, some likes, and an image. So by following this type of convention, here I am making a new post to upload on the server, and it will contain a user ID. The user ID is going to be the ID of user that is logged in. So to fetch the user, I will say const, just pick up the user, and again use the use selector hook, and then from the state fetch the state of our authentication reducer. Okay, so authentication reducer dot auth data. As we are destructuring our user, so we can simply use here user dot id. Okay, why it is user ref I don't know. Okay, and the description, because description is a necessary for making a post, but still we have no use state hook for fetching the description. I am using the use ref of our React. So how I am going to use this? Here I will make a const description, and it is using a use ref. So yes, use ref. Now I will give its reference to our input. Where is our input? This is our input. Here I am going to give a reference which is of description, and to ensure its availability I am going to make it required necessary. Let's format our whole code. Okay, so let's see here. Now we can use description dot current dot value. Okay, like this. Now I should check if the user also want to upload an image. Okay, so I am saying if image contains some type of data, or simply the image is true, then make a constant data which is going to use the form data function. It is a very common function. You can see its documentation on the internet. Okay, after this let's make the file name of that image according to the current date plus the image dot name. So basically why I am doing all this stuff, as you know, in the documentation of MongoDB they say themselves that storing the images or any kind of media in the MongoDB database is not a good choice. You have to make a separate strategy to store the images and any kind of media. So in such scenario, we generally use a third-party cloud-based service like the AWS, and there is also Firebase, a very popular. But for this tutorial, we are going to make it simple. I will store all of the multimedia in my server local storage, and then when someone wants to fetch the data, I will just simply call the name of that image from the local storage and display it on the UI. So for that stuff, here I am making all this code that if the image is in the user's post, then make the file name of that image according to the current date and the image name. And this date basically store the time and the date. And the time is even precise to the second, so there will be no two images having the same name. Okay, after I will say data dot append, and the name will be according to the file name that we have made, and data dot append file will be the image that we have selected, and new post dot image. Okay, so why I'm saying here the image, because inside the model we have the name image. The image will be the file name. I'm just storing the file name because here you can see I have only the string type. Okay, let's say console dot log new post. At this point I want to console log my new post. Let's save this and try to refresh. I know it's hot reload, but still let's see our console. Inside the console, now I put the share button, and here is our new post which is having a description, image, user ID. Okay, let's make some kind of description. Let's share again, and now there is a description, image, and the user ID. Time to make the functionality for uploading both the image and the post data. So first of all, let's just consider the image. So here I am making a try catch block because now the calls will be interacting with the server directly. So dispatch an event of, so dispatch, and why the auto suggestion is always teasing me. Okay, dispatch the upload image action which will contain this data. Okay, because now the data have a file name and the image, and if there is an error then simply just console log the error. It's time to make the action for upload image. So inside the client side, let's first close all thing, and src, there is our actions. I am going to make upload action.js. Inside upload actions.js, export const upload image which will receive the data, and again for the Redux thunk make it async dispatch, and again the arrowhead. Let's try and catch block. In case of any type of error, simply I want to see the details of errors. So there is an error, and inside the try I will say await. There should be an upload API inside which there should be a function of upload image which will carry the data of our image. Now it's time to make an API for upload image function. So let's close inside src, inside API. Here I am saying upload request.js. Here I have to just copy this thing like Axios and the base URL. So let's close this now, and so now I'm in upload request, paste it here, and I'm going to make const upload image will be equal to data and API dot post to the upload path in our server with the data. It's time to make an endpoint in our server to upload an image, but let's fix the previous files. So inside the upload actions, import the upload image as import static as upload API from API and then the upload request. Okay, now let's save this and import this here. So okay, let's see from where it is imported. Yeah, from the action. It's okay. Let's see, there is an error. Okay, there is still an error that upload image was not found inside the upload request. Let's see why inside the upload request. Okay, I have to export it. Okay, so export const. Now let's see. Okay, dispatch is not defined. So because I have not made the dispatch hook available, so const dispatch will be equal to use dispatch like this. Let's save. Okay, now there is no error. We can simply move to our server side. So now I am going to the index.js of our server side. So here inside the index.js, okay, here I will make a route for uploading the image, but before importing the route here, first I have to define the route. So inside the routes I am making an other file with the name upload route.js. Okay, so here first of all import the express from the express server and then make a instance of router. So express dot router. Now we have to install a package to make the image uploading on the server. So here I am in the server directory and here write npm I multer. So multer is basically a package that makes us a very easy and handy to upload the multimedia on the server side. Let's wait for its installation. Here it is installed. Okay, so now here I am importing the multer. Import multer from multer like this. I'm going to paste some code like this. So why I have just pasted this code? Because the code that is going to remain always same in your project, I just copy and pasting them. There is no use to explain them one by one, or you can say word by word. So basically I am going to give you an overview that first of all it is subscribing our disk storage with the destination of public images. So let's make this destination inside the server. I am making a folder with the name public. Public is basically a folder that is openly available for the public to use or for the users. You can also understand it as a CDN. We can store here videos, images, and we can use it for our local storage purpose. And inside this I am making, so the folder is going to be the images. So we can use it to upload our images, and here is our destination, and the file name will be the request.body.name because we are sending it as if we remember here inside the where is our action. Let's make it by control P, upload actions. Here we are sending the data, and inside the API, so you can say we are sending the data as a post method in our HTTP request. So we are using the same method for receiving in our multer. Let's go again to the route, upload route. Yeah, here. Okay, let's define the route. Here I will say router dot post means it is receiving by the post method. Upload dot single, it is a middleware provided by the multer, and the file, then the request and response, the arrowhead function. And here right inside a try catch block, if there is any type of error then console log the error, otherwise send the response. So return response dot status with the status code of, and inside the message I will say file uploaded successfully like this. Okay, it's time to make this router available inside our index server. So here I will say import. Let's see if I have exported. Okay, first of all here export default router. Okay, now inside the index.js import upload route from the routes folder, and then the upload route.js, and then at the end we should say app.use. When someone is calling the upload route, then go for our upload route. So upload route here. Okay, so our all the configuration is completed. Now it's time to test it. Okay, so here is our application. I am selecting an image, let's say this, and send this. Now I should see in my images, here we have an image. Okay, inside the server means our multer is working very fine. It's time to upload the post data with the images. So let's close these upload routes here and go to our share post. Okay, post share.jsx. So here I am inside the post share.jsx, and we have made our image uploading successful by using this dispatch. Okay, and this condition of image uploading was started here and ended here. After this I have to dispatch an action for upload the post data, and post data will contain basically a description, image name, and the user ID. So let's upload the data like this, and basically this data is lying inside the new post. So here I can write new post, because inside new post we have user ID, description, and the image name. Okay, it's time to make an action. So I will go to the upload action. There are upload action, and here I am making export const upload post, and then upload post will contain some kind of data, async dispatch, and then after dispatching there should be a try catch block, because we have to interact with our database. Inside error there will be console log error. Okay, the new post will be returned from our controller, which should be upload API dot upload post, and it is containing basically the data. Basically it is not a controller, it is our request and controller on the server side. Let's double check if our controller is returning the newly made post. So post controller, and here we are creating new post, and it is only returning the string created, post created. So instead of just returning this string, here I should write new post like this. Let's save it, and our server is starting. Let's hope. Okay, so now it is restarted. After this I am just closing this, and here the new post will be returned after successful, and we have to dispatch our reducer. The type of this reducer will be upload successful. So just upload success. And similarly I also have to make a dispatch here, and here I will say upload start like this. And similarly upload this reducer should also be dispatched here, and here I should say just the upload fail like this. It's time to make the reducer for our post. So inside the reducers, here I will make a new file which will say as post reducer.js. Inside post reducer.js const post reducer, and it will carry the state inside the parameters. So by default the state will contain post as null and loading as false, and similarly error also false, and uploading will be also an other key. At the start it will be also false. After this there will be our second parameter action. Okay, it's time to define the function. So for the Doug function, here I will make a switch, as we have also made in our authentication reducer, and it will depend upon action.type. So in this switch I will say case if the case is upload successful. So just copy this. So just copy this string, paste it here, and I will say in this case return our previous state by spreading it and loading as true, and let's say it's not loading, it's uploading true. So uploading as true and error as false. Now there should also be a default case, so I will say by default it should return the previous state like this. Okay, the second case when the upload is successful, so upload success should also be copied. I'm just copy and pasting strings so we can avoid any type of typo. So return state, and here I have to manipulate my post, so I will say the post. Okay, so the post will be an array, and the first member of this array will be our newly made post, which will be available inside the action.data, and then separate the previous post. So state.post, the uploading should be false because no action is completed, and error should also be false. Okay, let's turn on the word wrap. It's time to make our last case, which is the upload fail. So again, go to the action. Here we have upload fail, and just paste this here. Now return the previous state, and in this case our uploading should also be false and error should be true. Okay, let's save this. It's time to include this post reducer inside our index.js of reducers. Here I am importing, and let's say if I am exporting it, no, I am not exporting it. Export default post reducer. Yes, let's save this inside index.js. Import this as import post reducer and add it into our reducers, because it is used for combining all the reducers in our global state. So post reducer, let's save it. Okay, so basically our action is completed, but let's see if we have our upload post API, because we have not made it yet. And here make an endpoint. Okay, so export const upload post with the data, and it will be API dot post, and it will be directed towards the post, because inside the index.js of our server. Okay, index.js on the server side have a route of post, and there is a post route, so I am declaring the post string which will carry our data. Let's save this, and there is no error on the server side. Our client is also running fine, and it's time to test. Okay, so there is an error basically on the server that cannot read properties of undefined state inside the post reducer. So basically there is an error with our state. Let's see why this is happening. Okay, inside the post reducer. Okay, this should not be inside an object. Okay, they are the independent parameter. Now let's see again. Okay, let's clear all the errors from the console, and I am trying to upload a photo, and let's say new glasses. Let's upload this, and okay, state.post is not iteratable. Let's see why. If I have received a network, inside network, okay, a post has been returned successfully, then why it is saying the post state.post is not iterable? Let's see why it's happening. So error was inside the upload action, that while dispatching our upload success reducer, I was not sending the new data. So here I should say the new post data should be send it to our post reducer, and here our all the logic is same. So, and basically I have changed it to an array instead of the null, because it's making more sense. Okay, so now what I'm going to, I'm just deleting all the memory all the application, clear the console, and let's try to log in again. So let's go to login, and here john@gmail.com, John, let's sign in, and I'm going to upload this new image, and let's say, okay, let's close this, never. Okay, let's say this as hat and share this. Now inside the console there is no error, and inside our application post reducers have a post. Okay, and now let's try to make an other post. So just like new profile. Let's share this, and here inside the post reducers I have two posts now, so that means this is working very fine. It's time to make some changes, that after uploading a post, this section should be clear and this input field should be cleared, and our share button should also behave according to our server response. So what I am going to do, first of all, inside the post share, here I am going to say const loading is equal to use selector. So use selector the state dot post reducer basically, and then dot uploading, that was a key inside the post reducer. Here you can see uploading, and we are changing it during the post upload. So okay, here is true, false, and now false. Okay, so here I am retrieving it, and now inside my button, this is my button. Here I will say the button should behave according to the loading. If it is true, then it should say uploading, and if it is not, then it simply say the share. Now let's try again. Here if I share it like this, so okay, it's working fine, and I also make it disable while uploading. So here I will say disabled should be equal to, okay, simply loading. Let's see again. Okay, it's working fine now. It's time to reset our share component. So here I am going to make a function with the name const reset, and then inside the reset I will say set image as null, that is our use state hook, and description dot current dot value should also be equal to null. So as I have to also call this function after successfully submitting our new post, so yeah, just at the very end of our all the procedure, here I am calling the reset. Okay, so let's see this how it's going to happen. Here I am uploading a new image. Let's share this, and here it's working very fine, and we should also have this in our application. So post reducer, inside the post we have, after this our next task is to get the timeline post, and our timeline should be according to the followers that we have followed, and in timeline we should also see our own post. So now I am closing all the files that has been opened, and now open the post component from our client side. Okay, inside the post component, here first of all I am making our dispatch hook instance from dispatch. So use dispatch, let's import it. Sometimes the auto intelligence doesn't work, so import use dispatch. Okay, it's even not working. Here dispatch from React, and I also have to import the use selector. So use selector just like this. So first of all I will fetch the user from our global state from the Redux store, and here I will say use selector carry a state, and from the state dot auth reducer, and here you can simply say the auth data. So from auth data we will fetch our user. After this I also have to fetch the post from our global state. Let's say the post, and similarly the loading variable should also be fetched from the use selector state, and the arrowhead function state dot post reducer, just like this. Okay, now we have to render the post according to the posts available in our global state. There is no use of the data that we have made for the front end purpose here. Just delete this. Okay, so now our post data is undefined here, which is normal behavior. Here I should write the post that I have received from our Redux store. Now to fetch the post at the start of our application, here I will use the use effect. Okay, so inside the use effect let's make a arrowhead function, and here I will dispatch the action of get timeline post, and I will give the user dot id as the parameter, and user is fetched from our global state. Now let's save this, and it should depend upon nothing. So I am giving the dependency array as nothing. It's time to make an action for the port. So inside the actions, I am making a new file and saying it as post action.js. Let's export const get timeline post, as I have mentioned. Get timeline post. Let's double check get timeline post here, paste it here, and it is only carrying an ID. Let's make it an async with dispatch. Okay, after this it will dispatch the reducer of type, which will say retrieving, like this, retrieving start. Okay, and then it will make a try catch block. Inside try catch block, it will carry the data from our server side by await post API dot get timeline post, and it will also send the ID as a parameter, and then will dispatch the reducer of type the retrieving successful. Okay, so retrieving success, like this, and it will also send the data in the action. So the data will be data that we have fetched from the post API. After this there will be a last dispatching of fail. So here I will say retrieving fail, just like this, and we should also console log the error. So console log error. Let's save this, and it's time to make a post API. So inside the API I am making a new request, the post request.js. Inside the post request, let's first of all copy and paste this, okay, because this is going to be same in each file, and then write export const get timeline post, and it is carrying an ID as a parameter, then API dot get, as we have inside the server the post, and then there should be an ID. So we have to use JavaScript inside a string. So I will make it in a backticks like this. Now here a $sign, and inside $sign there is an ID and timeline. Okay, let's double check it by going to our route. So route post route, and there is ID with the timeline. Okay, save this. Inside the action I have to import it, import steric as post API from the API, and then the post request. Let's save this, and now we have our action completed. Inside post we are getting, so just import it manually from the actions, and now it's also working fine. So let's see what happens. Here we have all the posts that we have made here, but we have no images inside our post because we have made no logic inside our post component to show the images that we have stored in our server side. So what I am going to do, first of all, I am opening the Chrome terminal, and here inside the application tab I am just removing this user, and I am going to make a new user. Okay, so here I am making a user, let's say Mark and Zuckerberg. Okay, and here mark@gmail.com, password Mark, confirm password Mark, let's sign up. So basically the benefit of doing this is now we don't have to mess up with our old created posts, because there are some messed up with the images in the server directory. Okay, so let's make it from the very start. And here, as I have fetched inside the post the loading variable, so I will make this post.map which will depend on this loading. So I will say if the loading is true, then write the fetching post, and if it is not, then we can do the following work. Let's try again. Okay, I am making a new post, so keep smiling faces, and let's share this. Okay, so this is our first post and we don't have its image, so it's time to fix our post.jsx. What I will do, I will go to the post.jsx simple. So okay, this is the post, and Here, first of all, I have to fetch our user from the global state. So I will say use selector the state and then state dot auth reducer dot auth data. Okay, after this, here as I am fetching the data dot image, so now I have to implement a different type of logic for fetching the images from our server. Here I will say if the data dot image is present, then go to an env file. Okay, process dot env, and now I should remove this space because I did this. This is the auto suggestion. Okay, after this I will say react and public folder. So this is like public folder, as we don't have any type of this constant in our process.env. So let's first make an env file. Here inside the src, and yeah, here inside the src I am making .env. Inside .env, just copy and paste this constant name. So just I have pasted it. Okay, let's remember one thing. If you are going to use the process variables, or you can say the environment variables for the client side, means for the React side, then you have to start the name with the React app. It will only work when the name starts with the React app. Further, I will specify the destination on our server side, which is localhost and 5000, sorry, and then the images folder where we have stored all our images. As you remember, here inside the server we have this public and images section. Okay, now to make this section available for the public to use, I will go to the index.js for our server. Okay, here just go to the upside, and okay, after making an app, I will making a command to serve images for public, and then I am making some more configuration app.use express.static the public folder, and then write app.use images directory like this, and express.static again, and call it as just simple images. So this is a very simple configuration to make the route of images available for the public to use. Now let's go to our post.jsx. Okay, so here it is still giving me an error, and the error is unexpected token. So where is the, okay, because I have not made the else part. First of all, if image is present, then go to this directory on the server side and also seek for the data.image, and if it is not, then just return nothing. Now let's see our posts. So we are seeing nothing on our client side related to images, and if I open my console, so basically here you can see that it is not acquiring our destination of server side. So why this is happening? Because we have to restart our client side, because we have made a new type of environment variable. So okay, also my MongoDB is not connected. So let's clear this and again start the client side by writing yarn start. Let's wait and close this. Okay, still it's not fetching anything. Let's see why this is happening. Right now it is saying failed to load the resource, server responded, path is still not defined. So the main problem is that our process.environment variable is still not working. So I have just debugged and I found that our .env file was inside the src folder, and I just moved it outside the src in the parent client directory, and I don't know if this is the real reason of why it is not working. And the other thing I have did, I have just restarted my client side. So these are only the two things that I have did. As you can see here, I have restarted the server, and here I have restarted my client side, and everything is now working fine, as you can see. And if you are also facing same type of issue, then you can also do these tips as I have mentioned you. Let's first try it one more time by making another post like this one, and I am saying it glasses. Now let's share this, and it's uploading. Okay, now we have another post at the top of our previous post. It's working fine with the description. It's time to handle the number of likes and how to like and unlike the post. So for this I will go to the post.jsx, and here I am going to make a use state hook, which is the like and set like. Let's first make the functionality of liking. So use state, and inside the use state I am using the data dot likes dot includes the current user id. Okay, so if inside the likes array of post, if the current user id is included, then the liked variable or the liked use state will be true. And similarly I am also making another use state, which is the number of likes. To simply say the likes, so I will say set likes with the use state of data dot likes dot length. So why I am using this? Because I have to declare them inside the post, and here I have messed something. I have just removed the return statement. So okay, now I also have to import this use state hook from React. After this, here in the data.liked, instead of doing like this, I am just saying it as our use state liked. Okay, now let's see, and nothing will be liked because we have not liked any post. I also want whenever someone is trying to like, then the cursor should be like the pointer. So I will say style, and on styling cursor will be like pointer. Let's save it, and now you can see how beautiful it's working. Now let's go further down, and here instead of saying data.likes I will say likes. Let's save this, and now as you can see we have the 0 likes because none of our post is liked till now. After this, first of all, let's make the functionality of liking a post. So where is our like button? Here I am saying on click a post, make the handle like functionality in execution. So on the upper side, just below these use states, I am making a function const handle like, and okay. So first of all, on clicking the heart button, it will set the post as liked. So we'll say previous, will take the previous value and set the negation of previous value as this. So okay, there is an error. You are attempted for the post controller. So why I have did this, where I have post controller. Okay, nothing like this. Let's save again. Now you can see we can like and unlike, but there is no backend for doing this. Okay, to connect it with our database, I have to make our request on the server for like a post, and there I am just sending the data.id, which is basically the id of our post, and the user.id, basically the id of the user who have liked the post. And after doing this, I also want, if the post is liked, then set likes. Okay, the previous value is taken as, and previous value -1 will be returned, because if the user again touches the like button, then the post will be unliked, and if it is not unliked, then set likes, take the previous value and set the previous +1, like this one. So okay, again there is an error because it is always auto importing. Let's just comment out this for now, and let's see. Here you can see this is 1 like, now 0 likes. So this is the magic of React. Okay, now it's time to make a request on the server. So inside the API, inside the post request, here I will say export const and like post, which will contain the id and the user id as the parameter, and API dot put request as we have made in our REST API part. Okay, after this, visit to the post route and give the post route the id of our current user, like this. and call the like. So then user ID and the user ID that we have received from here. Okay, there should not be a comma. Okay, so this will be sent in the body. The user ID and the post ID will be sent in the parameter. So I think it should work fine now. Let's import this in our post.jsx. Let's comment out this and here. Okay, from the post request. Let's see if it's working or not. So now this is our post. Let's like a post and let's see here. This is our like post and it is saying post liked. Means our functionality of liking a post is working fine now. Okay, and if I again click this, then I should receive a response from the server that post is unliked. So if I again click this, and so this is the response from the server, post unliked. So means the total mechanism of liking and unliking a post is complete now. It's time to further move on. Let's just like these two posts because these are our own posts. It's time to fix this profile card for the home page. So now I am going to the profile card section. So profile card.jsx. Okay. So here we are on the home page and therefore I am just making the profile page very constant as false. So it will render its home page version. Okay, because we have here made some conditions to render differently on the profile page and the home page, and of course we are going to make it dynamic by routing and logics. But first let's make it false, and this is our home page version of card. So let's fix this for the home page. So first of all, we have here cover image and profile image, but we have to extract our user information from the Redux store. So again I will say const user is equal to the, I think so now you are used of this logic, that how we are going to fetch the data from the Redux store and how we are using in different components and how it is making our life very easy. Okay, so inside the state, let's make the state.auth reducer.auth data. Okay, like this. And now inside the src I will say if the user dot cover picture, like this, if it is available, then what to do, then again just to make the similar logic have to fetch from the server side, and instead of writing the whole process.env again, what I will do here, I am just make a constant with the name server public folder. Okay, just server public will be enough, and it will be process.env.react. Just simply copy the name instead of writing this. So copy this from here and I am pasting it here. Let's save, and now I'm saying user.cover picture is available, then use the server public plus user.cover picture, which is the name of cover picture. And if it is not, then I have pasted two images inside the images folder of server. This is the default profile picture and this is the default cover picture, so I am going to use them. Okay, if it is not available the cover picture, then use the default picture. So I will say server public default and cover. Let's save this, and now okay, we are not rendering our default cover. Let's say see the name again here if I mistaken it. Okay, default cover dot jpeg. Let's see dot jpeg. Now save, and here we have our default cover picture rendering successfully. Similar type of logic I have to apply for the profile picture. So I'm just copying this from here and pasting it like this, and instead of cover picture now it should be the profile picture. So profile picture, and there is also default profile. So default profile. Now let's save this. Okay, again it's not rendering because let's see the name again. This is the default profile.png. This is only a typo in the names of our images. So let's save this, and I'm closing this, and here we have our default profile. I should also apply this logic on our share section for this image. So I am going to the share post share.jsx, and that was our profile image. So I am just removing this and copying the same logic from here. Okay, so just copy this and pasting it here and making the same variable inside the post share section. So let's make it on the top. Okay, let's save this, and here we have our default profile picture. It's time to set up this number for the following and for the followers. So let's close this. And okay, so before following follower, we also have the name that I was missing. So I will say the user dot first name and also the user dot last name. It will be combined. Let's save, and here we have Mark Zuckerberg. And for this thing, I will say user dot works at. If it is available, then see the user dot works at, and if it is not available, then simply write about yourself. Okay, so write about yourself. Let's try it. Okay, there is an error, and the error is because I have forgotten to close this. So it is saying write about yourself. Now it's time to solve this number problem. Here I will say user dot following dot length. Okay, length like this. So this is the 0 now, and okay, it should be only following, not followings. Okay, and for the followers, I should apply the same type of logic, user dot followers dot length. Let's save this, and both are now 0. It's time to fix this my profile button, that whenever I click on this my profile button, then I should be redirected towards my profile page. Let's do this. So to do this, here I am going to this section of my profile, and I am going to wrap it inside a link. So okay, just make a link inside the span link. First of all, I have to import it from the React router DOM. Okay, so okay, here I am importing it as import link and from React router DOM, just like this. And now I can use this link towards the profile page. So as I have declared inside the main routing, and let's see if I have declared or not. I am not very sure. Basically, I don't remember such things. Okay, so inside the backticks, it should be also inside the backtick. Now let's close this, and okay, there is some kind of error because the link should be inside the span. Let's format this. Okay, so okay, this is a very odd type of styling applied, so I have to fix this. Where is okay, so on this link here I am going to apply some styling. I will say the okay, first of all, let's close this. I will say the text decoration should be none, and the color of our span should be inherit that we have made in our main styling. So yeah, now it's all the way correct, and we are rendering nothing on going this path because we have not set up the logic for the profile page. Let's go back. Okay, so I am going to the app.js. Okay, and at the end I am making another route, and this route have the path for a profile, and after profile there will be an ID of the user, and it will render the element again on the basis of user. If user is available, then render the profile page, and if it is not, then navigate towards the authentication side. So then navigate to the auth. Let's close this, and also let's close our route, format the code. Okay, let's try again. So now I am successfully going to my profile page, and if I click on home, then I should navigate towards my home page. So for this, I should go to the main pages because I have to follow the complete path. Okay, inside the pages I have the home page. Inside the home page I have a right side. Okay, so let's go to its implementation. Okay, it's not going by itself. Right side. So right side.jsx, and this is our home image. This image should be wrapped inside a link, so just make a link. And what I am going to do, I am just making this image inside the link. Now I will say link towards the home, and I have to import the link from React router DOM. So let's say from React router DOM. Now let's save. Okay, the styling is now broken, but it's working fine now. Okay, so this is basically my internet connection is becoming very slow now. Therefore, here we are seeing the fetch post for a long while. But it's just a matter of seconds to fetch the post from a fast MongoDB connection. Okay, so first of all, let's fix this styling. I am going to the right side.css, and here I have the nav icons which are directing towards the images. I am just copying this styling and pasting it below. And now I said if there is also a link, then also apply the same styling. So now it's working fine. Okay, it's time to manage the profile card on this profile page. Let's get started. So inside the VS Code here, to fix the profile card, I have to make some changes with this variable profile page false. I have to make this according to some logic, and this logic will depend upon the location of our profile card. So first of all, let's talk about this profile card. So I am just going to the profile page. So inside pages, this is profile page. Okay, here I am calling the profile card here. So I am giving it a prop of location, and I will say it as profile page. And even you can just neglect this just like this. And inside my profile card I will receive this as the location. Okay, now I am just deleting this, and there I have two conditions. So instead of this I will say if location is equal to profile page, okay, then render this post section. And similarly for the second condition I am just copying the location one, so just copy and paste it here. Now let's save this. Okay, now you can see we are rendering the correct version of our profile card. So similar thing I am going to do for the home side. So inside the home page, so here I have the profile side. Let's go to its implementation. Okay, I have to go manually profile side.jsx. Here I am calling profile card. So here I will give it the location of home page like this. Now on the home page it is rendering the correct version of our profile card. Okay, let's go back to the profile page. Now I have to fix this number of posts because I literally have only 2 posts and it is showing the hard coded value of 3 posts. So what I will do inside the, okay, let's just save this home and just close the profile card. And here inside the profile card, instead of writing it by hard code, I will say post.filter. But let's wait. Till now we have no post extracted from our Redux store. So first of all I have to extract the post. I will say const post will be equal to use selector, and from the state dot post reducers only reducer dot post. Now here inside the logic of number of posts, so here first of all to make this a logic I am making it under a curly braces, and now I will say post dot filter, and for each post make a arrowhead function, and I'm going to filter the number of posts according to the post.user_id should be equal to our user.id that has been extracted also from the state. And after filtering all such kind of posts, just find the length of this post. So now we have the correct version 2. Let's update the number of posts by making a new post. Let's say this is the REST API tutorial. So I say REST API tutorial. Let's share this. And here I have my new post, and there is the number of posts is equal to 3. So now it's time to fix this info card of our user. So to fix this, here I am going to the info card file. So info card.jsx as we have made in our front end part, and let's start do some logical programming here. First of all, I am here making a dispatch hook instance like dispatch. So I also have to import it manually from our React Redux. So import use dispatch. So okay, so here use dispatch is imported. After this, I also have to import one more React hook, which is the use param hook. So to import it, I will say use params. Okay, after importing it, I have to declare the profile user ID. So I will say const profile user ID is equal to params.id, because in the parameter we have the ID of the user as you can see here. So I am fetching it inside the constant profile user ID. Now I am going to make a use state of profile user like this, and also set profile user, and I'm going to make a use state with a null object. After this, I am going to fetch the global state of user from our use selector, or you can say from our React Redux with the state.auth reducer.auth data. I know now you are very used to it of the same line of code. Let's move on. We have to make a use fact hooks, because we want to render this info card correctly whenever someone calls the profile page of a user. So inside the use effect hook, as we normally make an arrowhead function, just profile user, and it is going to be an async call. So as it is an asynchronous call, after this I will say if the profile user ID, okay, if the profile user ID is equal to the user._id, that is our global user, but still there is an error, and I have to first find out why this is giving an error. It should not be an arrow. Okay, now it's working fine. So I am saying if the profile user ID is same our current user that is stored in a React Redux, then set the profile user as our global user. And if this not the case, means if we are seeing the profile of an other person, then make a profile user. And to make this profile user, I have to fetch some data from our API. So I will say user API dot get user, and I will give the profile user ID as the parameter. Of course, we have to make this user API file, but for now let's move on. After getting that specific user from the database, I will say set profile user according to the fetched user from the database. And now let's save this, and of course we are going to have a lot of errors. The first error that I am saying that I have not imported the use effect from the React, so now it is imported, and I also have to call this fetch profile user after making the function. So here I am saying fetch profile user, and if I just leave this as it is, so it will render for the infinite number of times. So to prevent this condition, here I am going to give an dependency array, and this dependency array will have the user as a dependency. Means if the user is changed in our React Redux, then the only time it will re-render this use effect. Now it's time to make this user API. I will go to the API, and here I'm making a new file user request.js. Okay, first of all, let's again just copy this same thing that we are just have to copy and paste in each file. Here I am making a function. Okay, there should be a I like this. Now here I am going to make a function export const get user, and this get user will have a user ID with an arrowhead, and it will call the API get inside the backtick. First of all call the user and then $sign to enable the variable with the user ID. Let's double check by going to our routes. Okay, let's first go to index of our server. Okay, yeah, this is only the user, it will work fine. Okay, where is our request? Here it is. Now let's just save this, and inside this is my info card. Here I have to import the user API. So as we are doing with every request file, so similar stuff we will do for this. I will say import steric as user API from, just go outside, again outside, and from API, then from the user request.js. Let's see what happens here. If I just refresh the page, our app is not crashed, and to see the information that is been fetching, I just simply say console log. Okay, so console log profile user, let's say here also, and here I'm also saying just the user. Let's try again. If I refresh the page, now open the console, and here I have an object which is having the first name Mark and last name Zuckerberg. Okay, it's working very fine. Now first of all, let's delete these consoles from here, and now further, instead of writing this your info, I will say profile info, because we can check our own profile and the profile of an other user. Therefore here we should say the profile user, and this URL pen. Here if we look in the UI, this pen icon is used to open the model, and this will make no sense when we are going to see the profile of another user on our social media application. So therefore I have to hide this. So to I have this here, I am making a logic. If user dot id is equal to the profile user id, then render this all stuff. So I am just copying this whole div. Let's see where it's ending. Okay, this div is ending here. Just Control X and Control V. And now this case is not, then simply render nothing. Now let's save this. Our app is again not crashed, means everything is working fine. Now let's move on to all these fields. So first of all, this is the status, and this is the answer of the status information. So now the answer should be according to the profile user dot relationship status, like this. Okay. Let's check our user model also for double check everything. Here we should have, okay, relationship is same, so here this is all same. Now for the lives in, there also should be profile user dot lives in. Let's double check again because I don't remember whether they are same. Okay, this is lives in, all is in small letters like this. And then for the info, here works at should also be profile user dot works at. Inside the user model, it is the works at. And at the last, we have this button of logout. So first of all, let's complete the functionality of logout. Here I will say on click, let's handle logout. Okay, handle logout will be a function. So just copy the name from here completely, and on the upper side here I am making const handle logout as a fat arrow function like this, and it will do simply one thing. It will dispatch an action of logout. Of course we have no action of logout, so let's go to auth-action.js, and here I am making an other action export const logout. This will carry no data, and it will be an async call to our Redux thunk like this. And again here it will do a very simple thing. It will dispatch the reducer with the type of logout. Means it is saying each and every component now remove all the data existed related to a user. So of course we have no logout reducer. So let's go to the auth reducer.js. Inside the auth reducer.js, after authentication fail, here I am making another case, and which is the logout. So let's say again logout, just copy this and paste it here. And on logout, first of all, clear the local storage by setting local storage dot clear. It's simply a function to clear all the local storage, and then return the previous state with the auth data as null and loading as false, error as false. I just think that it's enough for the number of state keys. Let's save this. Now inside the info card we have to import this. So inside the actions, now let's save this and try to log out. So if I log out, now we are on the authentication page. Let's try to log in again by writing mark@gmail.com. Password was the simply mark. Let's log in again, and here we are with our post. Let's go to the profile page again, and we have to make this profile model functional to write our or submit our information on our platform and to reflect the relevant changes on our UI. Means the name change, the profile image, cover image. Let's do this. Here just below the URL pen icon where I have my profile model. So in the profile model, along with the model open and set model open parameters, I am also sending another parameter of data, and inside the data I am sending all the information regarding to the user which is stored in our React Redux. Okay. So it's time to go for the model. So I will go to the profile model.jsx. Here I have to receive the data regarding to a user. So I will say data simply. And now it's time to import all the important things here. First of all, I will separate the password from the data, because this is no use that even accidentally another person is enabled to watch the manipulated password of another person. So just simply first separate it by the data, and then make a form data use state as we have also did in the sign up and login. So set form data like this, and it is a use state which is equal to the others by default. After this I am making a use state of profile image and set profile image like this. It is also a use state, and by default it is null. Okay, so our next use state is going to be the cover image, and then the like this, and it's again on start will be equal to null like this. Now let's import the dispatch hook from the React Redux, and it is equal to the use dispatch like this, and our last hook is going to be the use params hook. I am doing all this stuff at the start because then by fixing overall the form we don't need to import the hooks or anything more. So params, okay, so yeah, now it's also imported. Now our last thing is to import the user from the. Now first of all let's check the name of all the fields if they are corresponded according to the names in our database. So here F should be short, L should also be short, means the small, and works at the, it should be as like this, and then this is the lives in, so it simply lives in. And after this there is an country, and I don't have this field inside my model. So inside the user model I am going to make a country field, and its type is also string. Okay, so its name should be small, and after this, for the relationship status, the name should be relationship, like this. Now we have the name, profile image, and the cover image. It's also be changed like profile image, cover image, and it's time to make a handle change function for handling the change in our inputs. So I will say handle change, and it's equal to something like this, and it will carry event as the parameter form data. And first of all, let's separate our previous state hook of form data, and then according to the e dot target dot name of the field main, make e dot target dot value of the field. Now I have to copy this and paste input. Here I will say on change, and on change just make the handle change. Now copy this and paste it here for the last name, and then for the work set, for the lives in, the country, relationship, and we will make a separate type of handlers for the profile image and the cover image. The last thing is to handle the values. So the value is going to be, now let's see if it is working as expected or not. So okay, it's already working. That we have Mark and Zuckerberg. Let's say here ZAINKEEPS Institute, and let's say New York, America, so USA, and married. So let's open the extension by going to the components. Okay, what was the error? Okay, the error was just a warning, not a error. So I am in the components, and here for the model, this is the profile model, and here I have a state, and state have a username, last name, and works at, lives in. All the fields are correctly. It's time to make the handler for the profile image and the cover image. So let's go to the VS Code, and here, so here is our profile image, cover image. For both I am going to make a common function. It will say on change, let's say on image change, and I'm going to define this function now like this, and here I will receive an event, and inside this function, here I am going to do the same stuff as we have did in the share post section. Okay, so first of all, I am saying if the event.target.files is true, and then check for the index 0 where our file live means the multimedia live, and then I am making a variable of name image with this file, and then if the name is equal to profile image, then set the profile image to according to that variable that we have made by the multimedia from our event, and it's basically the this set profile image, and if it is not, then set the cover image. So it is a very easy functionality to understand. Let's close the function and format the code. Okay, it's time to make the last task for our profile model, and which is the update. And here I will say on click, make the handle submit like this. Now control C and const and paste the name. Let's here define this function. Here handle submit is receiving the event as parameter. Now let's make this e.prevent default, so our page will not redirect it to another page. After this, I am making a user data as the form data that we have a use state here. Okay, after this, I am saying if the profile image is also included in the model to update, then make a form data function instance the data, and again I am just applying the same logic as we have applied while sharing a post. I will take all the images and the cover images inside the server storage, so the code is going to be the same. Therefore I am just giving you an overview of this code because we have did this before in this same tutorial. Okay, after this I will append the name, and the name will be equal to file name. So yeah, there will be also file which will be equal to the profile image that we are storing in a use state hook. And then for the user data I am making a key value profile picture which will have the name. After there will be a try catch block, and I will dispatch the action of upload image, and of course inside the catch block the error will be cached, and if the cover image is also true then do all the same stuff as this. Okay, after doing all this stuff we have to update the user. So therefore I am dispatching a update user function, and after this I am setting the model closed. Now it's time to, first of all, let's import this. Okay, so from the upload action I am importing the upload image function, and the last thing is to make a update user. So now I have to make this update user action basically. So what I will do here inside the actions I am going to make a new file with the name user action.js. Inside the user action.js make export const update user as I have made inside the model. Now it will receive an ID with some form data like this, and let's make it dispatch. Now I am really thinking that the ongoing stuff is really just similar as we are making for a long time. So we are just make it a real quick. First of all, here I will make a reducer with the type updating start, and then I make a try catch block, and inside the try block I am calling the user API with the update user request, and here I am sending the ID and the form data. And from the server response I am just retrieving the data, because when a server is responding then the original response is stored inside the data key. Okay, after this I will dispatch the updating success as the login success, sign up success, so similar the updating success, and then the updating fail in case of any type of error. Okay, so it is giving me an error because here I just forget to write s. Now let's save this. It's time to make user API. So inside the API, inside the user request, let's make a request for update the user. Export const update user, and it is carrying the ID with the form data like this, and then the API dot put, and inside the backticks the user with the user ID, and here put the form data like this. Now let's save it. So inside my model, first of all I should remove these extra files. Okay, so here I have to import it again from the actions. These are the actions. Let's save this. So our user model is completed at this. Basically all the things are completed. The only thing remaining is to make a reducer for these types of actions, updating start and updating fail. Okay, we also have to import user API. So here I will say import static as user API. So from, let's go outside from the API and then the user request. Yeah, just like this. Now let's save this. Okay, now I am going to auth reducer. So this is auth reducer.js, and here I am going to make all the cases for the updating of user, because our user data lies inside the authentication reducer. Therefore I have to put the relating to updating inside this same reducer. After this, in the case update is success, so make the updating success just copy this from here and I am pasting it here like this. Okay, return the previous state and the auth data will be updated as the action dot data with the update loading as false now. Error is also false now. Okay, the last case is updating fail. So to make this case and updating fail, so like this, and it will return the previous state with the update loading as false and error as true. Now let's save this. So our reducer is completed now. When the update is successful, we also have to store the new user inside the local storage manually. So local storage dot set item, and I am again setting the profile item as json dot stringify and action dot data basically, and here I should apply the chain operator. Okay, so now let's save this and hope that our connection with API will work fine. But first of all, let's check our controller, user controller, for double checking its functionality that it will be capable for our form data acceptance or not. So here inside the data user, I am receiving the ID from parameter, it is correct, and inside the request.body, I don't think so we have current user ID, it is just simply an ID. Okay, so now here we should also have to change it as ID, and let's remove this for now. Okay, as we further move on here, everything is fine. Now after updating, we have to update the JSON token. So I will say token is equal to JWT dot sign like this, and it is equal to the username as user dot username and ID as user dot ID. Again there is an error. Let's see why the error, because there should be the round braces, not the curly braces like this. Okay, our second parameter is process dot env dot jwt key that we have made. Let's see again inside our env here. Okay, so yeah, and our last and third parameter is expires ins, which is going to remain same, and I'm keeping it as 1 hour. Let's format the code and save this. Now in the response, I am sending a object with the user and a token so that our local storage will work fine, because in the reducer, okay, the action dot data inside the action. Okay, so now it should work fine. So if I here write that ZAINKEEPSCODE Institute lives in, let's say, Multan country, Pakistan, and relationship status unmarried. Let's choose a profile picture. Let's say this is my profile picture, and for the cover picture, this is my cover picture and update. Okay, so nothing happening. Let's see why. Inside the console there is an error. Okay, so I should open a network tab. So guys, I have spent a lot of time of debugging that what is the error and how can I solve this, and at one point I was just unable and blank to solve the error, and you can only imagine how small was the error, and even the VS Code is not identifying me the error. The main reason that there is no highlighting of any red line, yellow line, that there is an error in the code. The error is the JWT is not imported. Okay, so here if I import the JWT from JSON web token, now let's save it, and here I have just for the testing changed, so now you are seeing it as a changed version. But I am going to give you the view of this practically, guys. Here if I say Okay, so on change it's not working. Okay, the N is capital. You can see how small are the errors, how small these are the errors. Now let's refresh and try to change it again. Let's say Mark and Zuckerberg, like this. Now everything will be same. Now let's say married one day. Okay, so now I want to change the profile picture. Let's say my new profile picture, this is a cool one, and I have to change the background, so I am just giving this background. Now update, and boom guys, everything is changed and working perfectly in our profile info card and inside our main profile card. And you can see the changes also reflected here and inside our application tab inside the authentication data here also. So guys, you can see how React is also painful and how it is also beautiful, that even a small error has wasted almost 1 hour. So for further, I have to change this followers card. Okay, so let's try to manipulate it according to our platform. Here I will say followers card.jsx. First of all, I am changing this line who is following you, and I am saying it as people you may know, like this. Okay, now I have to refactor it. How I'm going to refactor it? I am just making a new component inside the component with the name, let's say user. Okay, inside the user there will be a file as user.jsx, just the gsx, not the css. Okay, now it's a followers card. I am just copying this. Basically I am just cutting this from here and RFCE. Now I am pasting it here like this. Okay, so I have to import the user here, so I will say user, and I will send the data as the person data, and it will be equal to the person, like this, and key will be equal to the ID. Okay, so now here I will say it as person. Let's save this, and I have to here receive this as person and change every follower with the person here, like this. Let's save this, so there is no crash in our app, means it is working fine now. Now inside the followers card here I am making a use effect. Okay, so use effect, and just make an arrowhead function. Inside use effect I am saying const fetch persons, and the fetch persons will be equal to an async call, basically like this. Inside this, let's make the data which will be equal to await get all user, like this. I will make this function inside the user request, and then I am also making a use state. Okay, so const persons and set persons, like this. So this is a use state, and at the start it will be a null array. Okay, now I have to extract the user, so just copy this from here and I am pasting it basically here. Let's format the code, and I also have to call this function in the use effect, and in the dependency I am making a blank array like this. After getting all the data, let's make the set persons equal to the that data that we have received from the server. It's time to make a user request with the name export const get all user, and basically there will be nothing inside the parameters, and for the API it will just say the get and user, and this will be the path in our server. So I am opening my index.js server and now go to the user route. Okay, so okay, let's go to the user route here. So let's make a router dot get, if just simply a slash, then execute get all users. Now I have to implement this in user controller. So inside the user controller, here I am making get all users. Okay, so I will say export const get all users, and just copy this syntax from here and I'm pasting it like this. Now try catch block, inside the try catch block let the users are equal to await user model dot find, and you will be panicked by observing that if I just run the user modeler find, then it will cause an array that will contain all the users from our social media platform. But this is not true. It just only give us the results of first 20 documents, which is manageable. And then I will say users is equal to users dot map, and for each user I don't want to give the password, even the manipulated password I don't want to give it. So I will say const password and then the other details like this. It will be equal to the user dot doc because it is stored in this, and then return only the other details. And in case of any error, simply response dot status dot 500 with JSON error, and if it is successful, then send response dot status of 200 with the JSON of users like this. So I have to import it in my routes. So where is my user routes? Okay, so user routes and get all users. So here the update user and get all users. Basically it should work now. Okay, there is an error, use selected not defined, get all users not defined inside the followers card, and I have to import the use selector. Okay, so use selector from React Redux. Now the get all user from the user request, and I will also say just console log the data. Now let's see what happens inside the console. There is an error. Basically, let's refresh. So there is basically an error, and this error is saying network error. If I see the configuration, okay, let's see. Basically, our server has been crashed inside the user controller because it is saying export const unexpected export. Okay, so go to the user controller. Here it is saying export const get all users. Okay, I have closed this function of get all users. Now our server should work fine. Okay, it is listening. Let's try again. Close all the things here. And now it has given us an array of 8 people. So it is working very fine now. The next task, I am going to my database here and I am deleting all the users. Basically, first of all, I am deleting all the posts because it is too much messed up now. So I am deleting the posts, and I am also deleting the users. So here I have deleted all the users and the posts. So now inside my application I am also deleting all these things. Let's refresh again and I am going to make some new account. First account with the name Zain, rkzain@gmail.com, password simply Zain. Let's sign up. Okay, let's give some information as works at ZAINKEEPS Institute, lives in Shujabad, or you can say Multan, like this, from Pakistan, and relationship status is unmarried, and now I have to choose a profile picture. Let's say this is the profile picture and a cover picture. Now update this. Okay, now I am going to make some posts. This is the new design, and now just share this. So it is my first post. I'm liking this, and also make another post like a good design like this. Now save this, and here it is an other post. Okay, now I'm logged out and making another account with the name Jawad, and let's say raw here. Now the name Jawad at gmail.com. Jawad, let's sign up again. And here I am again making some changes as software engineer lives in Multan from Canada, let's say, and relationship status is married. Now the profile image will be okay like this, and the cover image like this one. Let's update. So now this is the second member on our social media application. Let's log out, and I'm making the third one as Umar, like on Umar at gmail.com. Umar, and Umar confirm password. Let's sign up. Now I am going to VS Code, and here this is our followers card. Inside the followers card, now let's get rid of this hard coded followers because now they make no sense as we have the people extracted from our database. So I can also delete it from here, and here I will say the persons. But there is a problem with this logic that it will return the list of all the persons included in our database, means the first 20, and these first 20 can include the user who has been logged in currently, and this will make no sense if the user is also included here in the card. Okay, it should not be included. So to fix this, here I am going to make a condition. I will say if person dot id is not equal to the user dot id, then return the user. Okay, so only then return the user. Let's format the code, let's save it, and now it should have only two peoples in the card. Here you can see the Zan and the Jawad. Of course we have to fix this. So to fix this component, I am going to the user.jsx. Here first of all, let's fix the person dot image. Okay, we have to use the same criteria as we have used in the share component. So I'm just opening the post share dot jsx, and here I have the server public. So just copy this and paste this. It basically stores the URL of our server side. And now for the image section, here that was also an image section. So where is this? Let's, okay, that was our image. So I am just copying this whole thing from here and paste it inside the src. Okay, we also have to extract the user dot cover picture, but here we have no user, so I can say it as just the person dot cover picture. Okay, because the person is coming from the parameter. Let's paste it here. Okay, now let's save this, and here we have the profile images of the people on our platform. Okay, it's time to fix the name because in the database we have the first name stored. So let's save this. Okay, and here we have the names, and it's time to fix this. They should not be at. Now it's looking very fine. It's time to make the logic for follow and unfollow. So on this follow button, here I am making a function on click, and it will handle our follow. Okay, handle for, let's make this function. So on the upper side, const handle follow, and it will be an arrowhead function again. Now to make this functionality, first of all, I have to make a action. So I will go to useraction.js, and after updating a user, I'm saying export const follow user, and again just a little bit of syntax, async and dispatch this. Okay, and here I will dispatch the reducer with the type as follow user. So let's say follow user like this, and after this I will call my user API dot follow user, and I will send ID and the data. Okay, I also have to receive the ID and data. So ID and data. Now let's fix this here. So handle flow follow and handle follow. Now calling the, let's save this, and now inside user.jsx I have to call dispatch. So let's first import it from React Redux. Import use dispatch. Okay, from React Redux. Now make an instance const dispatch is equal to use dispatch. Now here I am going to use this to call our action, and action is the follow user from the actions, and in the data I am sending the person dot id which I have to follow, and the complete user. So where I will get this complete user. Okay, so let's just simply copy this and paste it here, so to extract from the our Redux store. Now okay, I have it extra space. Okay, again this is not imported. Let's see why. From the actions, now it's completed. So here I have to make an API to follow the user. So I will user request .js, and here export const follow user, and it will get the ID and the data. Now this is just a put request, means an HTTP method of put, and towards the user here I have to put the ID to follow, and then I will say follow, and here I am making the data as a parameter, or you can say the body. Okay, there should be an arrowhead. Now let's save this, and I have to import it in my user action. So yeah, this is already imported as we have did for the update or user. Let's save this and hope that everything will work fine. So if I refresh my page, and let's follow the Zen and see the console. Okay, inside network tab, let's try again to follow the Jawad, and here is request, and there is an again error. Okay, so the error is basically the internal server error. Let's see why it's happening. Our server is running fine. Let's go to the user controller.js, and here's how to follow a user. First of all, I am getting an ID. Okay, so because I have no current user ID, there should be only ID. Let's try again. Here I am following Jawad. Let's see. Okay, so again there is an error. Basically nothing, there is an error. My server is crashed or not. Let's see. Okay, so it is saying current user ID not defined in a condition. So let's see in the condition. There should also be an ID. Let's save and try again. I follow the Jawad, and this is a correct request, and our user should be followed now, but I am not seeing any type of response. Okay, so here it is saying user followed, means our functionality of following a user is working fine. Now we just have to change our controller. So I think I also have to change the controller for unfollow a user. Yeah, so I just selecting all the current user IDs. Okay, not from here. Let's remove this from here, and instead of all this, let's just simply say the id. Let's save and try to unfollow a user. So inside the user actions, here I am making an other action, and inside the JSX here, if I make it unfollow, okay, unfollow, let's see is it auto imported or not. Okay, there should be unfollow user from the action. Let's save this. And here if I unfollow the Javad, so yeah, it is saying user unfollowed, means our following and unfollowing a user functionality is working fine. It's time to make changes in our UI. So to make this condition, here I am making another use state which is saying following and set following. This is basically a check to see whether we are following a person or not. So use state, and its initial state will depends upon person dot following. Okay, following dot includes the current user id, or you can just say the user dot id. So if the person has the current user id inside its following array, that's mean we are already following this. So okay, let's fix this from React. And now here the button will be rendered according to this condition. So just remove this and make a condition upon following. If following is true, then write unfollow on the button, and if it is not, then simply say follow. Okay, so let's see. Basically we are seeing no type of difference. And why we are not seeing it? Because we are not changing our global state, or you can say we are not changing our Redux. So to change the Redux, here I am dispatching the two type of action: follow user, unfollow a user. Let's make the corresponding reducer inside the authentication reducer.js, and after updating fail. And now we are going to make a very logical thing, the authentication data, because authentication data includes the array of following. Okay, so state dot auth data, and here the user will be equal to the state. I will give you the explanation of this logic, but first let's follow me. Auth data dot user, and the following will include the previous state dot auth data dot user dot following and action dot data. Okay, so what is this stuff? This is really a huge line of code. Basically we are doing a lot of thing in parallel. So here I have destructured the authentication data which is included the user. So now we can manipulate individually the user. And now I have to change the following array. So I am again destructuring the user, and now I can manipulate the following. So to manipulate the following, first of all, I am just spreading the previous following array here, and then I am adding the action dot data, and in our action dot data it will include the new user id which we have followed. Okay, after this, let's make the second scenario equal to the previous state dot auth data, and then the user will be equal to state dot auth data dot user, and following array will be changed according to the following, and state dot auth data dot user dot following dot. Now I have to filter according to the person id that I want to remove from following array, and if person id is not equal to the action dot data, means what I have did in this line of code. As you remember, this is a very simple stuff as we did before, and now inside the user I am again spreading the user object, and then I am spreading the following array, and here I am saying the following array should be updated and it should not include the user ID on which we have clicked to unfollow. Basically, this filter is just removing that specific person. Now let's save this, and inside the user.jsx, inside the handle follow, I have to do everything according to a condition. I will say if following is true, then dispatch the unfollow user action, and if it is not, then dispatch the follow user. Okay, follow user from the action. Okay, so why I'm not seeing the follow user action? Because here I have already imported it, and then again just send these two things. Let's now, and now it should render according to our needs. Here if I refresh and try to follow Zen, now our card is updating fine and it's again updating. Okay, let's see why this is happening. This is happening because we are not changing our following state. After doing this, I will say set following according to the previous negation. Okay, now let's save this, and first of all, I am just log out and then log in again with the Umar account like this. Let's log in, and here I am again following 1% and it's not showing correctly. Okay, so now everything is clear. This is just because of our previous local storage. Now I follow following 1, again follow following 2, and if I unfollow, so this is happening very fine. It's time to change the styling for the unfollow button. So here I will say the class name is according to some condition. Okay, I will say if following is true, then return button fc. Button means the previous class, and add one new class unfollow button. I will make it shortly. And if this is not a case, then simply return button fc button. Now let's to make the unfollow button class. I am going to the followers card.css, and here at the very end I have this fc button. First of all, let's paste the name, and I am saying it will have the color of our variable. We have orange, and the border should be 2 pixels solid, as we have the general styling if you remember in our design part. And cursor like the pointer. The main difference is of the background, so background will be transparent like this. Let's fix this here. Now save this, and you can see how beautiful this is working now, and our requests are also very finely working. Okay, so user is not followed by you. Okay, let's make one thing. If I follow the Zen, then I should see the post from the Zen, and if I follow Jawad, then I also see the post from the Jawad. Let's go to the home page, and here I have the post from Zen and Jawad also. Let's first make some posts from myself. As I have 0 posts and still I am seeing these 2 posts from Zen Jawad, then this is a bug. Inside the profile page, I should only see the post of myself. So what I will do, I am going to the post, I think so, post.jsx. And here before returning these post.maps, I am going to make a condition. First of all, I will make it let instead of const, because I have to manipulate it. I am saying if there are no posts, then return the text simply no posts. Okay, so nothing will be rendered like this. It will only return no post. Condition is the param.id exists, then the post should be equal to the post.filter, and for each post let's check the user ID against each post, like post.user ID as we have inside our post model, and it's again should be only params. It will be fixed when I just import the use params hook. Params is equal to use params. Okay, it's not auto importing. Let's see why. Use param. And if it is a profile page, then we should render only posts that are posted by that specific person. Therefore, I am filtering from all the posts and returning only the posts who have the same user ID. Now, if I save this, okay, there is an error and it's saying use params was not found inside the React router DOM. So why it's not? Because there is not the user param. Okay, let's save this. So now you can see here we are not seeing any kind of post. If I make a new one like this one, how I am looking, how I am looking like this. Now let's share this. Here I have one post and here I have the post on the home page. I have many more posts. Let's like them. And if I just log out and log in with the Zen, let's say Zen, Zen, like Zen. Now log in again. Here I follow. If just Umar I am following. So here basically my like number of likes is updated, and there is some kind of ambiguity that this is not happening as we expected, and saying failure in our promises and is forbidden on the unfollow. Let's see on the network tab on the unfollow. Okay, so why this is all happening, I am unable to understand right now. Here guys, I have debugged it a lot. Even I have just deleted all the accounts and then make the new accounts, and it was just a hell of job. And you know what was the error? The error was the too much small inside the users. Here instead of following I should write followers, and I know you probably noticed that I am making a mistake, but yeah, that was the only mistake. Now here you can see it is rendering as expected. I am following Zen, and let's make a post from the Umar account. So here I am saying okay, going to learn MERN, and inside the braces say the Umar. Let's share this. Okay, now I am logging out, and from the Zen account, here I will see zain@gmail.com, ZAIN. Let's log in. Let's this post is from the Zen on account. Now I am following this. Now go to the profile. Here I have on this, and now I'm go to the home page. So also I have the post from the Umar's account. I can like it, and I can also like my own post. Yeah, here our following and unfollowing functionality is working fine now. So our last task is to implement the authentication middleware of our JWT. So to make this, I am again just closing all of my files here, and now inside the index.js, and basically I am just closing all my directory. Inside the server I am going to make a new folder with the name middleware like this. Inside the middleware I am making the auth middleware.js. So inside the authentication middleware.js, first of all I am importing the JWT from JSON Web Token. Now also we have to require the .env. Now put the .env.config to use the process environmental variables, and here I am fetching my JWT key. And after this, here I am going to make my authentication middleware. And first of all, the authentication middleware should also acquire this third parameter of next. It is always necessary to make a middleware. And now here first of all I will take the token from the authorization header of our request, and let's see what is the token. And if the token is present, then I will verify it from my JSON web token that I have already make an algorithm while generating the token. So basically this algorithm depends upon our secret key, and our all the token will be verified against this secret key. And then the decoded data I will also console log it, and the request.body.id means the user ID will be replaced from our decoded ID. So our request will only work fine if the ID is same as we have requested from the client side. And the ID will remain same if the JWT verification is successful, if it decode the same data. After this, here I'm just simply placing the next, means after doing all this work correspond to the required route, and inside the catch block, of course, I am just console log the error, and at last just export default the middleware. Okay, let's save this and also index.js. Go to the user route.js. Here I am importing the authentication middleware from the authentication middleware, and to update the user, it should pass through the middleware. If the middleware is successful, then our update user will be successful. Similar for delete user and follow user, and at last for the unfollowing a user. Let's save this. Now, as you remember, inside middleware, I am requiring the authorization headers and splitting it for the second member of authorization array. So I have to make it inside my client side authorization. So I will go to the user request.js api.interceptors.request.use. First of all, the request, because we have to make authorization inside the request, and if the local storage dot get item profile is true. Okay, so if this condition is true, then make the headers authorization request dot headers dot authorization like this one, and this will be equal to the first word should be barrier. Barrier is basically a string part to make this string as the array of two elements. Okay, and then for the second, I will say json.stringify local storage dot get item, and from the get item, let's say the profile, and from the profile get the token. Okay, so whenever the authorization is needed, I will put inside the request or the API, and the corresponding path will use the authentication middleware inside the routes. Here I was not returning the request. It's a very important part. You should never forget it. Let's refresh again. This should be json.parse. If you write this, then it will work. And inside the authentication middleware, here we are making JWT key. And inside our environment variable, as you can see, here we have a underscore. So I should add an underscore here. Now let's try again. Let's clear the console, and I'm refreshing the page. Let's say here in relationship now, and I also want to change the profile picture. Let's say this update, and here you can see it's working fine. So basically our total social media application is completed now. So guys, if you really have learned something new from this whole tutorial series and also enjoyed this, then please press the subscribe button, and also don't forget to press the bell and the share button. Let's give a thumbs up for this video and put your thoughts in the comment section that what should we build next. And the next project will also be an awesome project. See you next time with a new tutorial with a new development project. Till then, goodbye, take care.